Hi guys, DRUID here with a new video, and this video will be the long-awaited Feral Druid. I'm going to specifically talk about Feral, not the other specs about Druid. I might just do that on a separate video, but I'm going to talk about Druid and what you should expect playing Druid first and foremost, but also like how is it Feral Druid in TBC compared to Classic. So this is like the video I have made about Elemental Shaman from Classic to TBC. Are they really a winner when it comes down to TBC? Is it going to be better, obviously, for PvP, but I would say also a bit of PvE, and what you should expect playing Druid in general with Feral as the spec. So first and foremost, there are a few things that has changed on the spec tree. First and foremost, we have Primal Fury being merged. The combo point generating when you crit on a ability, you get an extra combo point, and the extra rage you would get every time you get critted while in bear form. Those two are merged into one single talent, which is great. The other changes that I would say is like I think Feral Instinct is not changed. It's still a 3-point. I think it still is a 3-pointer. I don't think it's a 5-point. I don't remember too much. There are obviously new talents that are really good, especially Nurture Instinct. If I'm not mistaken, increasing your heal spells by up to 100% of your agility and increases healing done to you by 20% while in cat form. I think that's a new spell. I think just is like those 2 points here, if I'm not mistaken. New talent, excuse me. Primal Tenacity, which is a great talent, which are going to be very annoying for rogues and warlocks. You will resist a lot of stuns, and you can even run the gem, which I'm not running currently, to resist even more stuns. On Warmane, it's kind of bugged. You do get like probably like very close to a 50% stun resist. Like it feels like that at least. I know it is not like that, but it is feeling like that. Especially if you're rogue and you're trying to stun a druid that has a gem, it's really hard to get that. You have obviously Predatory Instincts, which is going to give you even more damage on your crits. So crit is going to be very important for Feral Druids, but also agility, obviously, because you will get more crit by having agility. Strength is still like super important because you get like a lot of strength going into like strength is going to be like important for bear form because you don't really have an agility modifier for it. The modifier for agility turning into AP is from Feral Druids, which is cat form, melee attack power by 140 plus agility. That's the modifier that you get from agility. Agility will help you for crit, will help you to dodge, for example, but and not dodge, but like the armor. But strength will help for the attack power portion for cat and for bear form. So that's why you have a lot of the pieces with strength, and obviously you have your off pieces which has agility plus attack power. So that's a very important thing going into TBC as well, which kind of changes in RAF. Something you should know again, Mangle is the single most important ability for Feral Druids, in my opinion. It is a important spell for both bear form and cat form. Both of those two spells are vastly different, in my opinion, between bear and feral and cat form, because obviously the bear form it's a spender for 15 rage, which is just 5 more than Maul, but it doesn't wait for the next attack. So it's like something you're going to do while you're hitting, for example. You are hitting the training dummy, you can still mangle as you wish, and you can then also queue up a Maul. You also get Lacerate, which is a very strong ability because it does bleed, and you can stack it up, and that's a very important aspect, especially with Mangle giving you 30% more damage on your bleeds. This can like add up. It takes for 387, and obviously that's a big amount of damage for a tank, because if you're like bear form, you're not expected to do a lot of damage, but your maul, your lacerate while you're doing mauls, you do regen a lot of rage whenever you're getting critted as well. That's all very important when it comes down to feral, like in PvP, because you will have to go bare form in a lot of cases. Your frenzied regeneration still gives a lot of health as well while you are like full rage, for example. And Mangle in like purely like cat form sense, it kind of replaces Claw when it comes down to like how it does damage. Claw is just like doing 858, for example, on a crit, where Mangle does 586 just on a normal hit. It is like a big amount of damage when it comes down to like how you deal damage. I really like how you play as a feral druid. Because you have your Mangle, which is a modifier towards your shred and towards your bleed. You are not supposed to like spam Mangle, but Mangle has a real rotational aspect when it comes down to PvP, because when you cannot shred or whenever you are like doing bleeds, you want to have a Mangle on the target to improve those bleeds. Rake is still like not really it. It doesn't do too much. If you're doing a Rake, it does what, 131 per tick. It does way less than Lacerate, for example. It is like an easy button to press. It's 35 energy, and it does a bit of damage like on like front, with obviously the Rake doing, for example, 145 when you're using it, and you will have a bleed. Is it like super like mandatory to have a Rake every single time? No, obviously. If you have your Mangle and your Rake, it's going to do like a bit more damage, and ideally you have Mangle, Rake, and obviously your obviously if he dodges, like it's not going to happen. You have Rake and your Rip, and Rip will do a lot of damage when you have Mangle, like 550 with a Mangle, and then when it drops, you will see like at least 100 like 25 damage less, for example, with the amount of gear I have. It is like important like to have a Rip, in my opinion, on the target, because it is like a rotational ability that you can use without like depleting your whole energy. So for example, I'm versus like someone, I'm getting like my Mangles up, and then I'm going to do Shreds, and Shreds does a lot of damage. Like again, that's like something you're going to have to try to go for, because your Mangle plus Shred will do a lot of damage. Especially like in the opener. Your opener is really strong, which I'm going to show you afterwards. You can also have your maim. With maim, you can have a sort of like in-cap, which is good, and then you can secure a Cyclone on target. But it's hard to do that on a DPS because you want to have your Rip on the target. Now, there are openings. It's like a 12-second duration Rip, so it will drop eventually, and then you can prepare your maim, or you can prepare your ferocious bite. Maim still does a lot of damage. Like it does just a bit less damage than ferocious bite whenever you're not like fully like energy, for example, on the target. So for example, I'll open like this, and you could also like power shift, right? Power shifting is still a thing, and that can help. You do a Rip, a Rake, for example, and then you're building your next go, if I may say. And again, you can also prepare your combo points. Once you have enough combo points, you can also do a ferocious bite, which does a bit more than a shred. But that's why I say, like, if you can use a Rip, which is still like a lot less energy that you're going to spend overall, that's going to be more efficient. Then you can also just still do shreds without any problems. Like it's 42 energy shreds, so it's like very effective. It costs less energy than a Mangle. So if you happen to be like behind the target, you can also hold the combo points, right? You can hold your combo points and then use a Mangle, so you can like breathe a bit and then do another shred. That's possible to do. Especially in duels, it's way easier. You're in open world PvP, you're going to be a menace. I really enjoy TBC druids. So overall, what you have Mangle, which is like a game changer. I think with the pre-patch of Classic of TBC, you will see a lot of druids playing feral, and they will be like a menace. Like I remember the pre-patch from TBC Classic the first time around, like 2021. you will see feral druids like in AV, Warzone Gulch, Arati Basin, like traumatizing people because with like a lot less gear, you are still doing kind of the same damage, but it doesn't scale super well. That's why like a season 4 feral druids and a season 1 feral druid is kind of not similar, but it feels similar like damage wise when it comes down to how it scales, because you still have like abilities that doesn't scale very well. Your damage, your weapon still doesn't change too much on the damage portion of the abilities you're pressing. For example, here I have like a Mangle of 560. If I'm removing the weapon, it's a lot of AP by the way that I'm removing. It does 456, right? So 500 here. No, I did crit. 567 here with a Mangle with the weapon. Without the weapon, obviously like 441. So you're not losing too much even if you run without a weapon. So, and the weapon gives 1000 AP, guys, plus also the agility from the enchant, plus the strength that you get for the weapon. It's still important to have the stats, but it's not going to be like that drastic between like having no gear and having, let's say, season 4 gear. The damage kind of still is the same. A lot of the modifiers comes from like the Mangle giving 30% more damage on shreds. Like here, for example, I do a shred. It does 1600 like a crit without Mangle, and if I do like a Mangle and I do crit, it does 2073. So you see already a very big difference if I have a Mangle on target or not. That's something you have to like or not. If you're playing Rogue, your Eviscerate will do a lot of damage, like more damage every single time you are going to progress into the season. But that's not also the reason why Rogues are really strong. It scales just way better overall because your weapon also gets improved, while the Druid, the weapon is still not like really a modifier towards like your Shred, your Mangle, your Rip, your Ferocious Bite. It is just counting on the attack power that you have, but it's still like not really that different. Like if I remove the weapon of me, it just is 100 less damage overall, like my main hand. While if I put the weapon, I have like 322. That's basically because of the AP. But if I do the same exercise with, let's say, a warrior or a rogue or whatever, you will see a vast difference. For example, here I have the Gladiator's Maul from Season 1. Okay? If I change it with Merciless Gladiator's Maul, the difference is like what? 20 damage. And that's a big like eye level difference, right? This is like I think around 200 less strength, if I come to think of it, like 200 less AP, excuse me, when it comes down to it. But between the enchant and between the strength that you're losing, between the AP that you're losing, I would say it's around 200, maybe 180, something like that, without like calculating, without like math. It is still like, again, something you need to account for. You like it or not, but it does make for consistency on how you play. And Feral Druids is just not only about the damage output that you're doing, but also about like the overall utility, I would say. So for example, here you have Nurturing Instinct, increasing your healing spells by up to 100% of your agility. The more agility you have, the more spell power, like healing power you have. Here you see I have a bonus of healing power to 542. It's not bad, for sure. And you do get a bit of healing power here and there because of the tier set that you have. But what you should do is have a macro where you do swap into your spell power or healing power staff. So for example, here I have Maul, and then I have the main hand and offhand. And when I do that, for example, now I change, I have 991 bonus healing power, and that's very good. With this in mind, you can actually heal pretty well. It's not like fantastic, it's not like wow, you're a resto druid now, but this is like a good amount of healing power. And what I will do then is go behind a pillar, for example, change, for example, I have my two-hander from the feral weapon, behind a pillar, change into the healing power gear, and then you're going to press your healings. And that's like the most important part. You can do a triple life bloom if you want to. Okay, and then swap back to the weapon. And you're still healing the same amount because of the snapshotting between the weapons. The weapon itself will not change the value of your healing. So for example, I'm going to test it again. This is like Life Bloom with the two-hander, does 79, 80, 79. And it will pop for what, 900 or something like that? No, 750, 85. If I swap the weapon, it will take for 113, which is a lot more. And it will pop also for a lot more. It does 939. And obviously you can stack it 3 times. What you can do is put a live bloom, swap back your weapon, and it still is ticking for the same amount. And that's the part where it's interesting to play Feral Druid, because you have like a set of weapons that you're going to swap depending on the situations. If you're running away, you're healing yourself with the staff or with your healing mace or whatever. Once you're done, you swap back and you go into the action, and that is like somewhat of a defensive play that you can do for yourself. Not a lot of classes can do, and in general, I would assume, not assume, I know that it is the best hybrid spec when it comes down to off healing. It's better than Elemental Shaman, it's better than Retribution Paladin especially, it's better than a Balance Druid, it's better than anyone, because it has the aspect of your mana running low is not really the factor of you losing the match or not. Obviously, having no mana sucks, but you can use your mana basically only for your healing and some power shifting here and there, or like shifting between bear form, cat form, and cat form and tribal form, excuse me. But still, like, you need to press a lot of like shape shifting to become like like right now I'm spamming the shape like power shift button, and it takes a lot of costs before I get and obviously I have my innervate, which is always going to be interesting. It will always help me like getting a bit of mana back. I don't have a lot of spirit, so obviously it's not going to regen too much, but it's still regening enough, and it's a fun way to play the game, in my opinion. I think only Shadow Priest really rivals a bit with how it heals because of Prayer of Mending. And if you're playing versus a cleave and whatnot, it just jumps between you two and you'll get a lot of heal behind it. But you just sacrifice your Shadow form, you sacrifice a bit of mana, and once you're like as a Shadow Priest, it is game over pretty much. But I really enjoy, really enjoy Feral Druid, and it is a definite like upgrade when it comes down to classic to TBC. Like, it just enables Feral Druids. In PVE, it just sucks that it doesn't have any AoE. Like, if it had a bit of AoE, it would be a viable DPS with a lot of utility. But because it has no AoE and you're like fighting for melee spots with like warriors and rogues, and even rogues are not that desirable, even though they have a AoE possibility with like combat or with Blade Flurry, it's still not enough to take a rogue. But we have more utility than a rogue. We have like Battle Res, we have obviously our Mark of the Wild, we have our crit buff from Leader of the Pack. But still, you're not going to take a cat druid in raids easily. I'm not like a PvEer anyway, so I prefer to PvP anyways. But yeah, if you're expecting also to PvP like to PvE a bit, you should get a bit of tanking gear and be able to do some off tanking duties, and then maybe you will have like a spot a bit more easier. But overall, it still is an upgrade between Classic to TBC. It just is that other classes have better updates. You will not use any MCPs anymore, for the better or for the worse. Obviously, MCPs gives a lot of like damage, but it is boring and it makes you not able to use your new weapons. You still need wolf heads to power shift until like a certain point, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's just TBC for you. But in PvP, it's definitely a upgrade. The only thing that is just lacking is probably a bit of AoE damage. I think Rake just not like scaling sucks. I hope they do do some changes, but I don't think they're going to do that. If Rake did scale, I think it would like have a decent spot in like raiding and have decent damage. But like just only counting on shreds and like maybe ferocious bite and sometimes maybe a rip. I don't know if you're actually ripping in raids, but it just lacks like that possibility to scale very well. And since it doesn't have scaling, it just like is going to go fade like nosedive into the damage meters. Anyways, also fairy fire, very good, but obviously if you do a fairy fire, that's like the main thing. You need to always fairy fire the target. The damage is going to help you like get a bit more efficient. But anyways, what else? Let's talk about like a few things here and there, then we are going to end. What is going to change? Obviously, you have Cyclone, and getting kicked as a Feral Druid is probably the dream for your 2's partner, and you could play with a mage. To be fair, Feral Druid mage is not bad. It's also not like great, but it's like decent. You can play it because you can soak silences and interrupts as a druid, and if they don't interrupt you, they get CC'd, which is not a bad trade. You have a stun, you have an interrupt as well, which is like again super good to be able to do so. And then you can do a cyclone afterwards. You have obviously your main, you have obviously the good damage from a feral druid, which is going to be important. And I think like the opener, if you have a lot of luck with the clear casting, you get like a triple shred. That guy is going to like be really crying. You're not really the best like healer killer, but it's still like enough to like put like enough pressure on the healer. So I really like, and obviously you're going to be like a very hard matchup for rogues because you have bear form, you have fairy fire. You can heal yourself, you can run away. Obviously, you don't want to get sapped. And obviously, they could win because you'll have to shapeshift and it's a mana game. But like in 2's, if your partner is not dead, they are going to detest you all of the times. So that's a good thing as well. What else can I say about like Balanced Druid? About Feral Druid, well, you have Bark Skin, which is going to be super important. Unfortunately, it does like shapeshift you into human form, but it doesn't have the drawback of like slowing your cast time or slowing your melee strikes. So that's a good thing as well. You have obviously your Thorns, which is going to help you a bit with like reflecting damage. You could play a reflect gear kind of versus rogues, which is kind of funny. You can probably see a few videos here and there on YouTube. Protection Warriors has that as well. I think Swifty played like a good portion of TBC with reflect gear just to destroy rogues. That was his objective, or it was in RAF, I don't remember, but it was like something like that. But obviously you have your flight form, which is going to help you with gathering, for example, with herbalism. You have like 60% at start, which is like not that great, but you can upgrade it if you want to, with a bit of gold, with a lot of gold actually. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Tiger's Fury is still like a subpar ability to press. It costs too much energy. The RAF Tiger's Fury is way better, obviously. What else can I say about like Resto Druid? Obviously, Life Bloom. That's a very important spell to press. And Tranquility is super underrated. Like you're pressing Barkskin into Tranquility. That helps you a lot. They need to see you or interrupt you if they want to stop it, and it heals very well. Like it's a very good amount. Obviously, changing to staff to get like the max amount of healing from Tranquility. That will help a lot. That will help a lot. Obviously, Omen of Clarity being 30 minutes is like fantastic as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, thank you for watching the video. Really appreciate you. hopefully you do play Feral Druids this time around. I think it's a very good spec, good spec on a good class as well. You can also go Resto Druid, you can also go Balance Druid. It's also quite cheap to maintain, if I can say. It's also one of the best farmers in the game with herbalism. Even with the bots, you're still going to be able to herb. The ability to swap weapons to have a lot of utility is great. It's fun as well to do, so I would suggest for a lot of people to do so and to play around that. And I think overall it's just too fun to play, so a big recommend on my side. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.